This is Celia Harrison. I'm reporting from the minivan that I live in Boise, Idaho, because at this point I am so pissed off that there's going to be a lot of reporting going on. I was forced out of an apartment here in Boise, Idaho by gang stalking. I've been harassed by the police here for years in many different ways, including them running their cars at me. There were other people running cars at me as well. And this is about the pandemic, and I call this summer here in Boise the summer of hate because of the hate against the homeless people who live in vehicles, trailers, and motorhomes between the city of Boise and members of the Oligarchy here. They put together a program to eliminate places for us to park during a pandemic. It began at the beginning of the pandemic, and it just got worse. So the pandemic began in March, and it's now the middle of July. So I have health problems. I have ME/CFS, which is essentially the long-term illness that people who have COVID-19 are getting, and I will go into Anthony Fauci at another time. Don't get me started, because he covered that up for decades and managed to have us medically bullied, inappropriately treated, and misdiagnosed over and over, psychologically abused. So I have heat intolerance, and I live in a minivan, and they limit time to park in the parks. There are people that come and harass me often when I park in the parks. For some reason today that didn't happen, which is very unusual. They must be on vacation. So what happened in March is that right about the time we found out about the pandemic in China, and it looked like it was going to be coming here, because of course it was, they have a bar that they're turning into a bike station for the police. I call it the gay bar cop shop. And so they began working on that. That street, and the street next to it is where people who live in vehicles, motorhomes, trailers, were parking for years and years and years. So that eliminated over 50% of the places to park there. And then where I park is over off of River Street. Last summer I parked on 14th. Then I began parking on Spa Street. And I'm parking on Spa Street now because the other people take up all the shade. I have to park in the sun usually. If I just wait till later and park when it cools off. And but I need to park earlier. I need to put my legs up and all of that because I have ME/CFS, low blood volume, etc. But I can't do anything because it's a process. If you're a homeless person, it's a process of slow murder. That's what the homeless shelters are. That's what the treatment of the people who live in vehicles is as well. So over here, there was demolition going on over there and construction. And then over here, they began demolition and construction in a large complex next to where I'm at that used to be the administration buildings for St. Luke's. And it's been bought by a real estate company and not a real estate company, real estate developer. And they demolished the inside, and they've been doing construction. And it's been hellacious for everybody. Okay. So today, I came to park and I saw there was nobody on the street on 14th where there was shade. Shade happens right around 7 p.m. in the summertime. And so I went to park down there. And the whole street now has signs on it that say, "There's no parking." And I've been contacting the city for months leaving voicemails, and I get no response at all. And on top of that, I'm really sick from the heat. The city is run by some of the most evil people I've ever seen in my life. You know, it's the city where they had Martin versus Boise, where they arrested homeless people for sleeping outside when the shelters were full. Those are the people we're dealing with. And all they do is say, we're going to build affordable housing. We're going to build affordable housing. I had affordable housing. It wasn't really all that affordable because the landlords here will raise the rents anytime that they can. They're very predatory. I would not rent from anybody here ever again. I was in a room that I was gang stalked out of. I was gang stalked out of an apartment complex. I now have more of an idea of who some of the people are that are doing this. Trump supporters, 3%ers. I call them the army of weaponized morons. There's a subset of them that do vehicular harassment with flags and other vehicles that I call idiots with flags subset. And they have been going to the Black Lives Matter protests here and being allowed to provoke and harass people. Why? Well, first of all, I don't know what they're doing. It's Boise. They probably never had much protesting before. But they do have a new chief of police, Ryan Lee, from Portland, who apparently, according to people I talked to in Portland, was in charge of the protesting there, and some really ugly crap happened. But he knows, get those bikers, get those Trump supporters, etc., out of the middle of the people that are trying to protest. They're blocking their First Amendment rights. They are trying to provoke people. They're saying racist things. They're walking into people. They refuse to wear masks. And that's another thing. You know, I have immune system problems, and going to the grocery store has been a fucking horror story here, because people will intentionally cough on you and they will walk at you if they see you have a mask on. I had somebody call me a weirdo today for wearing a mask. You know, because you have some kind of intelligence, and because you have some empathy for other people in case you have it yourself, you're the weirdo. Okay. So it's been a nightmare. And so instead of making things easier for people that park on the streets so there's more distancing and so people can ride out this pandemic, they have done things to make it unsafe, make it miserable, and make it, you know, psychologically very stressful and harmful to people. And it was done intentionally. I can tell you, I've been here for years. I've been homeless, except when I had the apartment for a year and a room for a couple of months. And it's unbelievable. I mean, they knew that the day shelter over there was very dangerous for infectious disease. I told them. They had those Dyson blowers in the bathrooms. I told them those things are called virus bombs. And so the only thing that they could do is just close the day shelters and put everybody outside. So you know, everything's closed down. The libraries are closed down. Day shelters closed down. All these people were put out. Now they got federal money, so they put some people in hotels. If they hadn't gotten federal money, I'm pretty sure that would not have happened. But then they've just let everything go feral. There were all of these people, wild people, just running around doing all kinds of crazy crap, and men coming up and saying really, really inappropriate things to me, and yelling and, you know, doing typical gang stalking activities of, you know, street theater and direct conversation and things like that. And I have documentation of some of it, but a lot of it they do at night in the dark because bullies are cowards, so they want to hide their identity. So there's going to be a lot more on this. I actually have a lot of videos that I started making, I believe, in March. There's more to it too. There's a McDonald's that's not too far away from the shelters that where the homeless people would go, and that got shut down. That was demolished on the inside, and that was rehabilitated too. And the other thing is that homeless people that don't have cars couldn't even buy something, couldn't even buy, anything at a fast food restaurant because you have to have a car in order to get up to the window to buy something because they were all shut down. So it's been pretty hellacious, and I do not expect Boise to get better because it's a very, very hateful place.